Wow. All right, so Dr. Umar, all right. And this is going to get very heavy for a lot of people. And it's going to be, you know, again, something that a lot of people are going to have a problem digesting. Now, let's also lay a foundation as far as your education, because that is something that people need to understand, that you're just not a regular dude talking. Based on your education and your experience, like I said, I have followed, you know, your work for quite some time now. Actually, the last time you were in Queens, I was at JPAC on Jamaica Avenue, and I got to meet you about your book and all of that. So, you know, I'm familiar, and I'm very, very impressed with what you have done so far. But let's lay a little foundation for our listeners. Your education and your experience, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I have 6 degrees plus 3 professional certifications, one of which I voluntarily remitted. So I have a bachelor's in psychology, a bachelor's in political science, a master's in school psychology, a master's in clinical psychology, a master's in educational leadership, and a doctorate in clinical psychology. My professional certificates are certified school psychologist, certified school principal, and I was once a nationally certified school psychologist, but I voluntarily remitted membership in the National Association of School Psychologists, which is mostly white, because they were not doing anything about the school to prison pipeline. They weren't doing anything about the psychoacademicholocaust against black boys, and they weren't doing anything about the special education exploitation and ADHD exploitation of black children. So I gave up my membership in the National.
Okay. Now, Dr. Umar, why is it that you think people seem to have issues with some of the stuff that you say, especially when it comes to these kind of issues?
It goes back to being unapologetically African, meaning, okay, the 2 biggest issues that people take issue with. Number 1, interracial dating. Yes. I do not support it. I do not condone it, but it's important for people to know why. I don't care if they disagree, because I'm unapologetically African. I'm not a politician and don't plan to be. I'm not a preacher and don't plan to be. I'm a truth teller. The reason I disagree with interracial marriage is because here in the American African context, black women are the least likely to get married. Only 1 out of every 4 black women will get married in her lifetime because of the war against black men and because of black men's insatiable craving for all other women who are not black. So it is not a rejection of the white woman. It is a love and affection and a concern about the future of not only the black woman, but the stability of the black family. If you don't build family with the black woman, there are no black families. And so for me, when I see the Charles Barkleys of the world, when I see the Jalen Roses of the world, when I see the Kanye West of the world, when I see so many black athletes and entertainers whose body of work I respect, and then I see them running around with somebody else's daughter, a woman that it was illegal for you to be with 60 years ago. So the way I see it, if the black woman was good enough for you in Africa, she should be good enough for you now. If the black woman was good enough for you in slavery, she should be good enough for you now. If the black woman was good enough for you in Jim Crow and civil rights and black power, why isn't the black woman good enough for you now? So it has nothing to do with hating the black woman. I respect all humanity. I respect all humanity, but I unapologetically reserve the right to fight and champion the cause of the black woman who is not being put up on the pedestal that she is entitled to by her black man.
Well said. It's kind of hard to argue with that. So I don't know why some people have a problem. So why the hate? Why is it that Dr. Umar Johnson seems to, you know, it seems to rub some people the wrong way. And I've heard it because since we announced this interview, I had a few people call me up and say, no, Master Chris, why are you gonna, you know, bring this man on the radio? Because, you know, he's this and he's that and he hates this and he hates that. And I'm like, I haven't heard that. So why do you think some people, even though you say something positive, but some people hear the negative?
The only thing I hate is oppression. That's the only thing I hate. I do not hate people of any color or of any orientation. And speaking of orientation, the other issue, twin issue that people take odds with me on is related to the LBGTQRSTIVX. They take it with that because they condone same-sex relationships. But here we go again, Honorable. I do not hate homosexuals. I do not hate bisexuals. I do not hate lesbians. You understand?
Right.
Again, black family first. If we're going to be African family first, how can I support a lifestyle that is taking more black men away from black women than they have already lost?
Yeah.
If interracial dating is a threat to the black family, then homosexuality is a super threat to the black family. How can you freely allow the public and charter schools to teach black children about alternative sexuality where we don't have enough traditional sexuality going on? I mean, look at our homes. 67% of all black children in America, whether they come from the Caribbean, Africa, or the States, 67% are being raised by single mothers. How can you solve that problem without focusing in on interracial dating? How can you solve that problem without focusing in on the Barack Obama-sponsored homosexualization of black public school children?
Valid point. But then when you bring up that name that you just brought up, former President Barack Obama, some people are going to have an immediate negative reaction. And you say what to that?
I say that American Africans, and when I say American Africans, I'm speaking about all of us. I'm a Pan-Africanist, so there's no separating out any group. All of us as a race, globally, we are emotionally and religiously immature. And anyone who can invoke within us the religious principle can exploit our emotions for personal gain. Barack Obama did an excellent job of exploiting African-American religious symbology and emotional immaturity for political victory. In other words, we projected onto him an immature and erroneous profit energy. We regarded Obama as a savior, and in regarding him as a savior, we failed to hold him accountable. In other words, Honorable, black people have this thing about us where we have to like you in order to vote for you. We have to like you in order to vote for you. And I say that is a very dysfunctional principle. I don't have to like you to do business with you. I simply have to trust you. People do business with each other all the time that they do not like. I'm willing to bet you do business with people who you may not necessarily like, but y'all agree to do business. But when it comes to politics, black people have to like you. And if we like you, we will ignore your politics. We like Bill Clinton, and look what he did. Locked up more black people than any Republican president you can name. We like Barack Obama, and look what he did. Took the entire black civil rights struggle and rolled it up and rolled it over to white women, gays, and non-African immigrants. We have been used by every president in American history because we cannot stop being emotional long enough to study the platform and strategically decide which way we should go.
Wow. Very, very powerful point. And it's giving a lot of people a lot to think about. And I know you're hurting some heads right now because some people, they just never heard anything like this. Now, since you touch on politics, Dr. UmarJohnson, how do you feel about this upcoming presidential election, which is less than a week away?
Someone once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We have been voting since the 1857, I believe it was, 15th Amendment. That's over 150 years of voting as a people in the United States. And every single president that has come to office has done nothing for black people except make you think they're going to do something for black people. Now, when you look at Vice President Biden's record, this man helped craft the 1994 Federal Crime Act. The Bill Clinton crime bill was largely written by Joe Biden and company. Joe Biden was against school desegregation. He was against school busing. And then you come on the other side and you have Donald Trump, who will probably go down in history as the most unapologetically racist president in American history. Donald Trump is unique. He's unique even when compared to Bush. He's unique even when compared to Nixon. He's unique when compared to any of the Southern presidents because he don't care what the public thinks about him.
Right.
You've never had a president who was insensitive to public opinion, but Donald Trump is. And so, in my opinion, this race right here is the most irrelevant race for black people in American history because neither candidate has a history of doing anything for black folks. See, the problem that we make is we don't understand the most important thing you do in a presidential election is not vote. The most important thing you do in a presidential election is you finance the campaign. Can you name a single presidential campaign that black people have ever come together for so they could support it financially? You cannot name one. We have never organized the black vote in 150 years. Let me say it again. We have never organized the black vote in 150 years. You know who's organized the black vote? The Democrats, the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, the Republican Party, all of which are white-owned, white-run parties. We have never organized the black vote, and that's why the black vote works for everybody except black people. The black vote works for the Republicans. The black vote works for the Democrats. The black vote works for the governor. The black vote works for your mayor. The black vote never works for black people because it is disorganized. And Marcus Garvey said the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization.